take one. What? I'm getting ready to. I gotta check my cup. Yeah, I need to get it to you. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
When the rolls call, that last one, you know, I got a book if you need it.
No, when the roll call.
Yeah, last one. I'll get, I got a book.
Is it not in the?
That's my fault. That's my
That's
fault.
okay.
I'm
But when the roll is called, the under is the first one?
Yes. And I'll get the other one.
All right, thank you.
Morning. It's good to see you guys. Kind of missed you for the last couple weeks, but I did get to watch TV and eat ice cream, so that was all good. Jackson, who is that dude? This is what I learned while I was gone for 2 weeks. I learned that I can consume ice cream without any limit. I learned I can watch TV and get mindless like nobody else. I love sitting by lakes and reading. And, you know, this is where I view life in terms of like a battle. I think there's spiritual things that are set against us. And God has sent me here. This is where I fight. This is my home. And so when I'm in Minnesota, you know, you wonder, you don't wonder, I know God's there. But what I realize is Jesus is faithful. He's 100% faithful. And the metaphor of a lighthouse, if you're in the storms of life, and they're usually in your head, a lot of times they're not outside, they're in your head, they're in your heart, there's thoughts, and it's all a battle in that way. But you know, if you're a ship and you're in a storm and you see that lighthouse, you know, if you focus on it, you're not going to get too close to the rocks. You don't want to do that. You're not going to get land in port right now, not in the middle of a storm. But you can see, you know that if you keep your eyes on the light, that you're close. That when the storm passes, that when it's calm, that when things are good, when you reach when you reach a part where you can go into your port, the lighthouse reminds you that Jesus is there. And Jesus is faithful. It says there's a verse on your front part of your Speed Memorial Church bulletin, Hebrews 6. It's Paul, or the unknown author of Hebrews, is writing to Hebrews are away. He said, you know, God's given us his promise and his oath. And these two things are unchangeable because it's impossible for God to lie. Therefore, we who have fled to him for refuge can be encouraged as we hold to the hope that lies before us. This hope is a strong and trustworthy anchor for our souls. And that's, as you go, I don't want to be all cliche, but life, the metaphor of storms in your life is perfect. And as you're going through the storms, Jesus said he was the light. And he was the light of life. And as you look to him, his promises and his oath that he was going to see this through. There is another age that he promised we would be part of, and he would be there. There is another life. And this life that deteriorates so quickly is not the permanent life. And he has promised it, and he made an oath to us that he would never abandon us and never leave us alone. There would always be that light available as you trust in him, and that is the anchor of our souls. And so we'll keep it with the sailing metaphors. A smooth sea never produced a skilled sailor. Meaning what James said, when you go through all these troubles, when you go through life, when it's just absolutely makes no sense, James says, know that your faith is being made stronger. your patience, the ability to confront anger and not let it control you, the ability to confront frustration and not let it control you when you're not getting your way, the ability to confront confusion and know that Jesus has it in the palm of his hands. He's got it. He's the king. He said, all authority on heaven and earth has been given to me. And I realized that in Minnesota. I realized that it's not, Jesus was faithful in going through and, being put on a cross and living out what he spoke. And it just became really clear to me sitting by a lake one day that the faithfulness that I read about in Jesus is the life of honor. I want to live a faithful life. I want to live a life that honors what I believe. Because sometimes I transfer it over and I have hope and I believe and all that in Jesus' work. But then I realize that's so mental. That's so many thoughts. When in reality, belief is a behavior. Honor and being faithful are behaviors that you express by making decisions in your life how you're going to be faithful to what you believe. And it just really did hit me while I was sitting there by a lake, full on ice cream, doing absolutely nothing except reading something, reading about Hebrews and reading about how Jesus lived and the heart that he has given us, the spirit he has given us, asks us to be faithful. And nobody does it perfect because there is no perfect. What you do is you do it faithfully. You do it loyally with Jesus as your king. And that's all I learned in 2 weeks. And I learned that because he is faithful and because he is there, we pray to him, we go to him, we're invited to bring our prayers to him. So we can pray the Lord's Prayer right now, if you'll pray with me. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
If you can stand, our first hymn is number 556, When the Roll is Called Up Yonder.
Gather over on the Good morning and welcome to Speed Memorial Church this morning. Whether you're here in person or joining us online, we're glad you're with us this morning. If you're visiting today, we're especially thankful you have chosen to worship with us. We'd like to welcome back Ed and family, and welcome home, David. Good to see you. It's great to see Bill Nunn with us this morning, and welcome back, Bill. Keep fighting it. Also, want to note that it's good to see Sandy Nunn here and Steve Warner, who took a couple days of rest in rehab and in the hospital. It's good to see both of you back with us. And last but not least, the Baileys are home, Reed and Mary Lynn. And of course, the Wrights just came back from sunny California. We've got a full house here today. Glad to see all of you. Please remember the following in your prayers: those who are recovering from illness and surgery, safe travels for all of our church family members this summer. Vacation Bible School will be starting this week, and we pray for guidance for our leaders and those that are involved with the Middle East conflict. If you have a prayer request, please share it with Pastor Ed or call the office. This week, Bill and Carolyn Nunn will be celebrating their 60th wedding anniversary on Thursday, June 26th. We have one birthday this week. Linda Adams has a birthday on June 23rd. Happy birthday, Linda, if you're joining us this morning. As I mentioned earlier, Vacation Bible School, the theme this year is Hiking with Jesus. It'll be starting tomorrow, 5:30 to 8, down at the Fellowship Hall. So all of our kiddos are welcome. And let's return to the service now. I think the Speed Girls have some special music prepared for us.
Testing. I don't think so. Is the mic on? Mm-mm. Is your mic on?
Testing.
Nope.
Check, check.
We need some roadies. Wasn't that on? No. But I have a big mouth. You ready?
Okay. It's been a few weeks, so sorry, I have no notes. But we'll wing it. It's kind of random thoughts anyway. It's all built around Jesus is faithful and God is faithful because we're going through Genesis. And I think the biggest point, and so you can all leave after this point, is that Jesus is faithful, God is faithful, we're not. Our belief in Jesus' faithfulness is what keeps us loyal to him and affects our behaviors. We don't possess the skills or the mind to actually be what Jesus was. And so it's his faithfulness that's easy. And I think sometimes what's alarming to people is that they expect the Christian life or Christianity or following Jesus to be some simple path, like without any curves or bumps. And we're all supposed to be like little zombies and zombiettes, and we just do, we don't have emotions, and we don't have confusion, and we don't have things. And that's absolutely not what following Jesus is about. If we had 10 things to do and we would all be good and follow Jesus, that would be simple. That would just be the easiest, because you don't have to think. You don't have to be creative. You don't have to be human. Just follow these things, do what I say, and that's good. But man, that's just not what Jesus seemed to talk about. He talks about the heart. He talks about creativity. He talks about passion. He talks about giving up your life here and the values that the world tries to teach you, and promising you life, and that he is faithful and he will be there for you. And so that's what Genesis 4, if you remember last week, Cain killed his brother Abel, and then he started a lineage, and it ended with a guy named Lamech. And Lamech killed 2 guys, and he said, well, if Cain's protected, I'm double protected. And so that's where we kind of left off there. And then the next line after that was Genesis 4:25. And it said, Adam knew his wife again, and she gave birth to a son. So I think we can all know what that word knew means. She named him Seth, saying, God has given me another child in place of Abel, because Cain killed him. And the son was also born to Seth, and his name was Enosh, which means frail humanity. At that time, people began to worship Yahweh by name. I wish I had notes. There's just so much here. But, we'll wing it, like I said. There's a couple of interesting things in just this little passage right there. To me, something that's very important is that in this passage, Eve is finally eating from the tree of life. She made the decision that she wasn't going to trust in the tree of her own knowledge of good and evil, and that she was going to let God take care of things, and Adam also. But Adam's is revealed later. And this is revealed because if you look at the first line in Genesis 4, now the man knew his wife Eve, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Cain. And her statement was, then she said, I have created a man, just as the Lord did. And that's the tendency when you eat from the knowledge of the tree of, God, I always get that, the tree of death. Okay, that's easier to remember. Is you honestly begin to think that it's you. It's, I have done this. I've created this. This is mine. And because the tree of death is all cycled into an obsessive observance of yourself and what you're going through and what it means to you. And that we all go through it. I'm preaching to the choir. I'm just facing this way because they pay me money to do it. This is all of us go through this. This is life. Jesus was obsessively worried about other people to the point of death. And you can see the difference in Eve. Her first time was, I have created a man. Her second one was, God has given me another child. And I hope none is ever humbled like this, but when you only have two sons and one's a murderer and one's murdered, you think, you wonder, maybe what I did in the garden wasn't such a great thing. Maybe that wasn't the right philosophy to bring out into the world and into my children's lives. And that, again, is not any kind of a statement or guarantee about how your child turns out. There is no formula. I'm the prime example. My parents invested in me, and I just did whatever the heck I wanted to do. It's life. It's life. You live, you learn, you go through it, you get humbled to where now I'm like, I didn't do anything. I don't do anything. I've never done anything to deserve the love that God has shown me. And I feel sorry. I don't wish any bad upon anybody, ever. But I know that smooth seas do not produce skilled sailors, as they say. Life is bumpy. And we try to hide from that. We try to surround ourselves in these fortresses, either philosophically or physically, to put walls up between us and the world. And we forget that Jesus is the way, and Jesus is the truth, and Jesus is the life. And he said that for a reason. Eve went that path. Eve went from thinking that she had done something to, God has given me another child. What a gift. What a wonderful gift. And you can see, let me see what my next picture is so I don't turn it. Okay. You can see, we'll see, because the next line in Genesis 5, look at Genesis 5. Genesis 5:1. They just said, I've created a man, Lord, or people began to worship Yahweh by name. And then the writer of Genesis flips right into, this is a written account of the descendants of Adam. When God created human beings, he made them to be like himself. That's us. He created them male and female, and he blessed them and called them human. The writer just flips right back to Genesis 1. This is a new beginning because they're starting. She ate from the tree of life. Life can continue. They started to worship Yahweh by name. See, to know God isn't mental. To know God it's why the metaphor is man and wife. It's to know God relationally. Nobody cares what size shoe God wore, Jesus wore. Does it matter? No. How tall was Jesus? Who cares? Do you know him? Because every time in the Bible where somebody is sent away to the land of anger and dust, Jesus says, I didn't know you. I don't know you. Why do you? It's like what Cain did, right? Cain took the protection that God, it's what, sorry, Lamech did. We'll get to that. It's thinking that God owes you something. It's thinking that somehow you deserve what God has given you. It's that thought that somehow you're not human, you're not created, that somehow God owes you because you're so good. And you've done so much and you have so much. And that's just not right. And that's why when Eve switched over and Adam, and they started to worship Yahweh by name, it was a reset. They're not in the garden anymore, but the promise goes on. God is faithful. He's not going to give up on his plan to have humans and his whole creation work together in Eden, in paradise. Read Revelation 22. where it all ends. It says, when Adam was 130 years old, he became the father of a son who was just like him, in his very image. He named his son Seth. And what's funny, take that part. What happens here is really odd. There's a genealogy here, but I'm not going to go through it, so don't sigh. But if you look at when Cain began, Cain knew his wife, and she became pregnant and gave birth to Enoch. Then Cain founded a city, which was named Enoch, surprisingly enough, after his son. Adam is generation 1. Cain is generation number 2. Cain's lineage, genealogy, goes 7 generations, meaning it's complete. And they built a city. They built tools. The first time that they had tools, the first time that they had tents and took care of livestock, music. That generation, those 7 generations, developed music with the harp and the lyre, culture, living. But it ended at 7, and 7 is the end. 7 is, we'll get to that later in a second. 7 means complete. That's all you can ever hope for. It's the end. They have houses, they have livestock, they have cool tools, and they can do a bunch of stuff. But it's done, and it ends at Lamech. He's number 7. And he's the one who killed people and then claimed protection that was given to Cain for himself at 10 times the amount. Adam had Seth. And Seth had Enosh, and that's when people began to worship Yahweh by name. And what happens is there's a way that leads to life, one generation to another. Adam down to Lamech, Adam to another guy who we're going to name in a second, was 10 generations. There are 2 Lamechs in these genealogies. Lamech, number 1, kills 2 men, and then he claims God's protection for himself, which is what we do. But we are relentlessly angry. We're relentlessly obsessed with our lives. We've been brought up this way. We just care about diversion and pleasure, like me. And it's just hard to get that off the brain. But that only lasts for 7 generations. That only lasts. It doesn't grow. There is no little child's hands in that pursuit of a lifestyle. It's dead. 10 generations, from Adam to the second Lamech. There's a Lamech in Seth's lineage and Adam's lineage. He was the 9th one. 10 generations, the number 10 and the number 7, I'm not trying to get all freaky, but this is how the ancient Hebrews thought, and the biblical writers thought. They used numbers to convey messages. The number 10 also means complete, but it's a complete block. It's a divine plan that leads to something else. The 7 ends it. 7 days, 7 this, 7 that. There's like 1,000 sevens in the Bible. It ends there. There will be no more days. I'm at 7 days, I'm done. 10 means that this unit is done, and now we're going to go on 10 plagues, 10 commandments, 10. It ends a portion of time, and it begins a new portion of time. There's life. It's part of a bigger plan. It's part of something bigger. Seth, when Adam and Eve decided to eat from the tree of life, they became part of something bigger than themselves, which is what the whole point of this section is when the writer is writing here. Lamech 2, in Seth's and Adam's line, is when Lamech was 182 years old, he became the father of a son, which nobody has business doing that at 182 years old, but different times. Lamech named his son Noah. For he said, "May Noah bring us relief from our work and the painful labor of farming this ground that the Lord has cursed." The 10th generation from Adam through Seth is Noah. And we'll find out what Noah did. We'll talk about him next week. But I think we all kind of know, right? Noah's Ark. Noah's this, Noah's that. Because when you eat from the tree of life, you're part of something bigger than yourself. You sacrifice yourself because you know that something bigger is going on in the world. And you realize it doesn't make sense in the world's values where we relentlessly gather for ourselves goods and whatever, way more than we'll ever need. We relentlessly do that because that's how we were brought up. And I get it, it's a cultural thing. But also, we understand that Jesus had none of that. And Jesus sacrificed everything knowing what was laid out for us in the next life, which he promised he would be there and that there was a new age. And he is faithful. And the call is for us to be faithful. And there's no, if you read the parables, only about 25% of humanity, and here's Jesus, believes it. That's kind of how it rolls out. It's about a quarter. You hear it, it's all good, but the cares and concerns of the world, your heart is somewhere else. It's not in the sacrifice thing. It's not in the giving up thing. It's in the let's go to a box and just do the same thing over and over ritualistically and decorate our box until we're happy. It's not in the part where you have people that make you uncomfortable and you're trying to tell them about Jesus because Jesus may be talking to them. And it's hard to hear that if you're reading the Bible. So a lot of us shy away from reading the Bible and its proclamations because the Bible, the message of the Bible is a minority report. There's a reason all the prophets were killed by the power structures, especially the religious ones, because the prophets would roll into town and they're minority. Very few people think like the prophets. And they say, your culture is lame. You're not following God's will. Yahweh is upset with you. This is not going to end well for you. It's going to end basically at 7 generations, and then you'll be gone. This is not life-affirming actions that you are taking. And nobody wants to hear that, and so they sawed Isaiah in half. It's like, you know what? Good, Isaiah, thanks. We've had enough. Come out here to our arboretum. Just lay here in that little log that we've got. Shh. They killed the other guy between the sanctuary and the altar, which was part of the Jewish temple. It just goes on and on how they treated their prophets. Because it was a minority report, it didn't have to do with the culture. It still doesn't have to do with any culture anywhere on earth. God's ways are not man's ways. And that's kind of the hard thing to get into our brains, isn't it? Mine. And mine's small anyway, so it's a tough target to hit. But it's the reality. And that doesn't mean we don't participate in our cultures. Even when the Babylonians came and took the Hebrews and Jeremiah, and they were looking for what are we supposed to do in Babylon, the worst culture ever. And God said, have families. Build gardens. Don't ever forget about me. You're a foreigner in a weird place. But your family and how you treat your neighbor and how you treat everybody else is still valid, no matter where you live. But the danger is that we forego the wonder and the beauty of this generational passing. And this is just a picture. What it is you being faithful to your understanding of God and his Jesus. and we start to plan our lives, and we start to give our hearts and our creativity over to a life that ends in 7 generations, complete, done, without the growth. And that becomes the most important part of our lives. Things that do not affirm life. Things that do not grow life. And that's the saddest part about it. We become like Lamech 1, where we claim God's protection, but we haven't done anything. We claim God's grace and mercy and forgiveness, which is good. But then we don't respond. It's like that parable where God forgives the one dude $1 million. I forget, the guy's pleading, begging, whining. I'm sorry, gosh, I did everything wrong, and I get it, God, please. I owe you $1 million. And then the king goes, you know what? It's good. I feel for you. Go. You're free. And then the guy leaves the castle, goes right out, finds somebody who owes him $10, and holds him by the neck and has him thrown in jail. Totally forgot what it cost. For $10, he just got forgiven $1 million. And he's going to hold somebody else accountable for 10 because he forgot, he didn't understand, he was only in it for himself, but he's still going to claim and whine and try to get God to forgive him. God forgives him, and then he goes and takes it out on somebody else. You forgot. You were only trying to get off. You were only trying to get your own skin protected. That was it. And that's not the way of Jesus. Jesus is faithful. They're not easy decisions that you make in your life when you're contrasting the ways of the world and the ways of Jesus. Not at all. And it's not supposed to be. But Jesus is faithful. Jesus is faithful. And what you may think is a little thing in the kingdom is a big thing. But you still make that decision. You still make that decision. You still declare in your heart and in your mind that I will follow him. And just trying to figure that out is hard enough. Who hears their heart? I hear my heart when it's like Hallmark level. Like, gosh, man, go to the country. Build a Christmas inn. Get that tree. The snow. I mean, I got that down pat. But what about your life? No one else can do this life for you. And I could keep going on, but I know that's not the plan. That's next. We're going to sing, Lord, I Lift Your Name on High. Sorry, I could have given you a better key. I could have been better to you. Kind of just threw that out.
You may stand.
I'm so glad you're in my life.
Oh, there it is. Jesus said there was two ways. There was a little narrow path, and then there was this really giant path. And that the narrow path is, at the end of that path is where he'd find him, not the big path. And the narrow path doesn't have a lot of room for you and other people to be walking down. It's not individualistic like we love it to be. It's actually relations within a community, and it's small communities that take you down the narrow path. Paul wrote this to Timothy, and Timothy was a pastor. There you go. There were people in the Bible who were pastors. He was in Ephesus, of all places, and Ephesus was a crazy place. Timothy, 2 Timothy is where Paul was in jail. He'd been sentenced to death. He knew he wasn't coming out of jail. And so he wrote this to Timothy, part of it. And he was like, this is a trustworthy saying. You can hang your hat on this one. He said, if we die with Jesus, we will also live with him. If we endure hardship, we will reign with Jesus. If we deny Jesus, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he remains faithful. He is not going to give up his plan. He is not going to give up the second age. He is not going to give up his kingdom because Ed decided it's not true. And Jesus, you're lame. And I don't believe anything you say. I'm going to live life my way. That doesn't stop him. He'll be bummed. I will deny him, and he'll deny me. I don't understand anybody who doesn't see the obvious logic in that. It's in the Bible. It's in all the places we read about where he says, I don't know you, you know. Well, yeah, of course you wouldn't know me. I denied you, and I went away, and I did whatever I wanted to do. And these are trustworthy sayings. Trustworthy. Jesus is faithful. He'll never, ever give up on you. He will never give up on you when you flee to him, as it said earlier. When you're after Jesus, it's not about behaviors anymore. You don't go, I feel like I'm far away from Jesus, because that's not what Jesus says. You don't rely on your feelings anymore. You rely on what Jesus says about you. So it becomes absurd to think that I don't feel close to Jesus. It's no. Read what Jesus says about you. Read what Jesus thinks about you. Read what he was willing to go through so that you would have a chance to follow him and to go to his kingdom. Then it all becomes crystal clear. Oh, I had a bad dream, or I ate pizza last night and I wasn't thinking clearly. The Bible is standard, doesn't change. The message is the same. God loves you. Jesus died for you. Jesus would love you to follow him. And then it becomes, you die. You die. If we die with Jesus, we will also live with Jesus. If we endure hardship, we will reign with Jesus. If we deny Jesus, he will deny us. If we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny who he is. Can we deny who we are when we are followers of Jesus? He can't deny, I'm the Son of God. I have to go to the cross. I have to be faithful to that. We can't deny it. We are sons and daughters of Jesus. You can't deny picking up your cross. You can't deny it. And Jesus is faithful to be with you through the whole time. Through the whole time. You guys have a good week. Try to stay cool.